The fluorescent lights above my desk buzzed like angry wasps, drilling into my skull with each flicker. I pressed my fingers against my temples, trying to massage away the headache that had been building since morning. 28 today. 28. And I was spending it hunched over a keyboard in a cramped office that smelled of burnt coffee and broken dreams. My phone lit up for the 15th time in an hour. I didn't need to look to know it was my mother, probably asking if Marcus had planned anything special. The thought made my stomach twist. Marcus. My boyfriend of 3 years. The man who'd promised me the world and delivered nothing but excuses wrapped in pretty words. Sarah, you look terrible. My coworker Jenny leaned against my cubicle wall, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against her coffee mug. Shouldn't you be out celebrating or something? I forced a smile that felt like broken glass in my mouth. Working. Bills don't pay themselves. She wrinkled her nose, sympathy flooding her features in that pitying way that made me want to crawl under my desk. Well, at least you've got Marcus taking you somewhere nice tonight, right? The lie came easily. Yeah. He's planning something. But the truth sat heavy in my chest like a stone. Marcus hadn't mentioned my birthday once this week. Not once. This morning, he'd kissed my forehead while I pretended to sleep, grabbed his gym bag, and left without a word. Standard Tuesday. Nothing special about the day I was born. The elevator dinged at 5:30, releasing me into the lobby of the downtown office building where I'd spent the last 4 years of my life processing insurance claims. The marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers that probably cost more than my annual salary. I'd always found it ironic, working in luxury I could never afford. Rain had started falling, turning the evening gray and miserable. Perfect. I pulled my thin jacket tighter, knowing it would do nothing against the downpour, and pushed through the revolving doors. The restaurant where Marcus had asked me to meet him was only 3 blocks away. Lucia's. An upscale Italian place we'd gone to on our first anniversary, back when he still tried. Back when I still believed his promises about proposals and forever. Water soaked through my canvas shoes by the first block. My hair hung in wet ropes down my back, and I could feel my mascara beginning to run. Some birthday. Lucia's glowed like a warm jewel against the darkening street. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see couples leaning across candlelit tables, wine glasses catching the light, laughter I couldn't hear but could imagine. I smoothed down my damp blouse, took a breath, and walked inside. The hostess, a statuesque blonde in a black dress that probably cost more than my rent, looked me up and down with barely concealed disdain. Reservation? I'm meeting someone. Marcus Holloway. Her perfectly penciled eyebrow arched. Mr. Holloway requested I give you this when you arrived. She handed me a folded piece of paper, her expression suggesting she knew exactly what it said. My hands shook as I opened it. Marcus's handwriting, rushed and careless. Sarah, I can't do this anymore. You're a good person, but I need more. Someone who matches my ambition. I've met someone else. Don't contact me. The apartment's paid through the month. Good luck. The paper slipped from my fingers, floating to the pristine floor like a white flag of surrender. The hostess's face softened slightly, pity replacing contempt. Somehow that was worse. Miss, I'm sorry, but if you're not dining, I'm going. My voice sounded strange, distant, like it belonged to someone else. The rain had intensified, sheets of water turning the street into a river. I stood under the awning, watching luxury cars spray water onto the sidewalk, their occupants safe and dry behind tinted windows. My phone buzzed. Mom, again. I couldn't answer. Couldn't explain that my boyfriend had dumped me in a note, on my birthday, delivered through a restaurant hostess like I was worth less than a phone call. I started walking. No destination, just movement, to keep from falling apart right there on the street. The neighborhood shifted as I wandered. Sleek storefronts gave way to older buildings, the kind with character and history. The rain began to ease, leaving everything shimmering and clean. My feet had gone numb in my soaked shoes, and my jacket clung to me like a second skin. That's when I saw it. A small gallery, warm light spilling onto the wet pavement. Through the window, I could see paintings, bold, violent slashes of color that somehow felt exactly right. A sign by the door read, "Opening night reception. All welcome. All welcome." When was the last time I'd felt welcome anywhere? I pushed open the door, and warmth enveloped me immediately. The gallery smelled of wine, expensive perfume, and oil paint. People clustered in small groups, their voices a low murmur beneath soft jazz playing from hidden speakers. I must have looked like a drowned rat, but no one seemed to notice. A server in a crisp white shirt appeared beside me, offering a glass of red wine from a silver tray. I took it, grateful for something to hold, something to focus on, besides the crushing weight in my chest. "The artist explores themes of captivity and freedom," a woman's voice said nearby. I turned to see an elegant older woman gesturing to a painting. A bird caught mid-flight, its wings spread but surrounded by golden chains. The tension between wanting to escape and being bound by beautiful things. I stared at the painting, wine forgotten in my hand. The bird looked desperate, trapped, exactly how I felt. "You're soaked." The voice came from behind me, deep, smooth, with an accent I couldn't quite place. European, maybe. Expensive, definitely. The kind of voice that commanded attention without raising volume. I turned, and my breath caught. He stood close enough that I could smell him. Sandalwood and something darker, like smoke and secrets. Tall, with sharp features that could have been carved from marble. Dark hair swept back from his face, not a strand out of place despite the rain outside. His suit probably cost more than my car. Charcoal gray and fitted perfectly to his broad shoulders, but it was his eyes that stopped me. Dark, intense, looking at me like I was the only person in the room. Two men flanked him at a respectful distance, both built like they could break bones without breaking a sweat. Security. Rich people always had security. "It's raining," I managed, feeling stupid the moment the words left my mouth. His lips curved slightly, not quite a smile. I noticed. He shrugged off his jacket, the movement fluid, practiced, and draped it over my shoulders before I could protest. The fabric held his warmth, his scent. Better. The jacket swallowed me, and I clutched it instinctively, even as my brain screamed that I should refuse, should step back, should put distance between myself and this stranger who radiated danger like heat. You don't have to. I insist." His gaze traveled over my face, cataloging details. The smudged mascara, the wet hair, the trembling I couldn't quite control. "You've been crying." It wasn't a question. Heat flooded my cheeks. "I'm fine." "Liar." But he said it gently, almost with amusement. One of his security team stepped closer, whispering something in his ear. He nodded slightly, never breaking eye contact with me. "What's your name?" "Sarah." It slipped out before I could think better of it. "Sarah." He repeated it like he was tasting it, rolling it around in his mouth. "I'm Mr. Kozlov." The gallery owner rushed over, her face flushed with excitement and anxiety. "I didn't know you were coming this evening. If I had known, we would have prepared. Please, let me show you the private collection." Later, he dismissed her with a single word, his attention never leaving me. The gallery owner's smile froze, confusion flickering across her features before she retreated. Something cold slithered down my spine. This wasn't just wealthy, this was power. The kind that made people scatter. "You should go enjoy the private collection," I said, trying to hand back his jacket. His hand caught my wrist, not hard, but firm. Unmovable. His skin was warm against mine, and I could feel calluses that seemed at odds with his expensive appearance. Why? Because I'm nobody, just someone who wandered in from the rain. Nobody. He repeated the word like it offended him. His thumb pressed against my pulse point, and I knew he could feel how fast my heart was racing. "You're shaking." "I'm cold." Another lie. He released my wrist, but didn't step back. If anything, he moved closer, and I could feel the heat radiating from him. "Today is a special day for you." My eyes widened. "How? You have that look, like the world forgot you exist." His expression darkened. "Someone hurt you tonight." It wasn't a question, but I answered anyway. "My boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend. It doesn't matter. It matters. The words came out sharp, edged with something that made the air between us crackle. A man who would hurt a woman on her birthday deserves... He stopped himself, jaw tightening. When he spoke again, his voice was controlled, careful. He's a fool. I should have left. Should have thanked him for the jacket and walked away from the intensity in his gaze, from the way his security scanned the room like threats lurked in every shadow. But I was tired of being forgotten, invisible, worth less than a phone call. It's my 28th birthday, I heard myself say. And I spent it alone. Something shifted in his expression. Calculation, decision. He pulled out his phone, one of 3 I could see in his pockets, and typed something rapidly. Not anymore. What? You won't spend it alone. He pocketed the phone and extended his hand. Come with me, Sarah. Every instinct screamed danger. This man was wrong in ways I couldn't articulate. Too powerful, too intense, too interested in someone like me. But Marcus's note burned in my memory, and my empty apartment waited with its paid-through-the-month lease and ghost of a failed relationship. I took his hand. His fingers closed around mine, and I felt it then. The shift. Like stepping off a cliff and realizing too late there was no going back. The car waiting outside wasn't just expensive. It was obscene. A black Mercedes, sleek and predatory, with windows tinted so dark I couldn't see inside. The rain had stopped, leaving the street slick and reflective, puddles catching the glow of streetlights like scattered mirrors. One of the security men, the one with a scar bisecting his left eyebrow, opened the rear door. Kozlov's hand settled on the small of my back, guiding me forward with a possessiveness that should have alarmed me. Instead, something warm unfurled in my chest. When was the last time anyone had touched me like I mattered? The interior smelled of leather and cedar. I sank into seats softer than my bed, and Kozlov slid in beside me, close enough that his thigh pressed against mine. The door closed with a heavy thunk that sealed us in dim, intimate darkness. Where are we going? My voice sounded small in the enclosed space. Somewhere you can properly celebrate. He said something in rapid Russian to the driver, who nodded and pulled into traffic with the smooth efficiency of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. I clutched his jacket tighter around my shoulders, hyper-aware of every point where our bodies touched. The city slid past outside. Familiar streets transformed into something foreign through the tinted glass. I don't even know you. What do you want to know? He turned to face me fully, and in the shadows of the car, his features looked sharper, dangerous. Ask me anything, Sarah. Why are you doing this? I'm nobody special. His jaw tightened. Stop saying that. But it's true. I work a dead-end job processing insurance claims. I live in a studio apartment with water stains on the ceiling. My boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, left me because I'm not ambitious enough. The words tumbled out, bitter and raw. So why would someone like you care about someone like me? The car turned down a street I didn't recognize, towers of glass and steel rising on either side. Kozlov reached out, his fingers catching my chin, tilting my face toward him. His touch was gentle, but there was steel beneath it, command. Listen to me carefully. His thumb brushed across my cheekbone, catching a tear I hadn't realized had fallen. That man was a coward who couldn't see what he had. His loss doesn't define your worth. You don't know me. I know enough. His eyes searched mine, and I felt exposed, like he could see every broken piece inside me. I know you walked into that gallery soaked and heartbroken, and you still noticed the art, still found beauty in the midst of pain. I know your hands are shaking, but you got in this car anyway. That's not nobody, Sarah. That's brave. My breath hitched. No one had ever called me brave before. The car stopped in front of a building that scraped the sky, all gleaming glass and sharp angles. A doorman in a burgundy uniform rushed to open our door. Kozlov emerged first, buttoning his suit jacket with one hand while extending the other to me. I took it, and he pulled me out with effortless strength, his hand immediately returning to my back. Possessive, protective. The doorman's eyes widened slightly when he saw us, recognition and something like fear flashing across his face. Mr. Kozlov, sir. Welcome back. Kozlov didn't acknowledge him, just guided me through doors that whispered open on silent hinges. The lobby was a cathedral of marble and gold, with a chandelier that dripped crystals like frozen tears. Our footsteps echoed as we crossed to a private elevator, where another security guard waited. The guard nodded, pressed his thumb to a scanner, and the elevator doors opened. We stepped inside, and I watched the lobby disappear as we shot upward. My ears popped. 40 floors, 50. The numbers kept climbing. "Do you live here?" I asked, trying to fill the silence that felt too heavy, too charged. One of several places. He stood close enough that I could count his heartbeats in the pulse at his throat. Steady, controlled, nothing like the chaos in mine. "I stay where business requires." "What kind of business?" His lips curved, but it wasn't quite a smile. "Import and export, investments, various interests. Vague, deliberately so. Another red flag I should have heeded." The elevator opened directly into a penthouse that stole my breath. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city, lights stretching to the horizon like fallen stars. The space was all clean lines and expensive minimalism, white leather furniture, abstract art that probably cost more than I'd earn in a lifetime, and a silence so complete it felt sacred. "I can't be here." I backed toward the elevator, suddenly overwhelmed. "This is too much. I should go home." Kozlov stepped between me and the elevator, not touching me but blocking my escape with his body. "Home to what? An empty apartment and memories of a man who didn't deserve you?" The words hit like a slap, true and terrible. "What do you want from me?" I whispered. He studied me for a long moment, something unreadable moving behind his dark eyes. "To give you the birthday you deserve." "Nothing more." He moved aside, gesturing toward the windows. "But the choice is yours, Sarah, always yours. I won't keep you here against your will." The sincerity in his voice surprised me. I could leave, walk away from this strange, intense man and his dangerous elegance, return to my small life and smaller dreams. Or I could stay. I stepped away from the elevator, toward the windows and the city beyond. "Okay." I felt rather than saw his satisfaction. He moved to a bar built into the wall, all gleaming bottles and crystal glasses. "Champagne, wine, or something stronger?" "I don't know what I want." "Then I'll choose for you." He poured amber liquid into 2 glasses, brought one to me. Our fingers brushed as I took it, and electricity sparked up my arm. Scotch, 50 years old, older than both of us combined. I sipped, and fire bloomed in my throat, smooth and smoky and absolutely nothing like the cheap wine I bought at the grocery store. "It's perfect." "Good." He touched his glass to mine, the crystal ringing softly. "Happy birthday, Sarah." We drank in silence, standing side by side at the window. The city glittered below us, oblivious to the strange intimacy unfolding in this tower above it all. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. 17 missed calls from my mother. 12 texts from friends who'd just heard about Marcus. I should answer. Should tell someone where I was. Kozlov plucked the phone from my hand before I could decide, his movements quick and decisive. "Tonight, you don't exist for them. Tonight is yours." "Hey." He powered it off, set it on a nearby table. "They can wait. You've spent enough of your life making yourself small for people who don't appreciate you. You don't know that, don't I?" He turned to face me fully, and the intensity in his gaze made my stomach flip. "You apologize when you speak, make yourself smaller when you walk. You're so used to being invisible that you've forgotten how to take up space." Each word landed like a stone, rippling through the careful lies I'd told myself. That I was fine, that I didn't mind, that being overlooked was just who I was. "I'm not," but my voice broke, and suddenly I was crying. Really crying. Ugly, gasping sobs that shook my whole body. Kozlov set down his glass and pulled me against his chest in one smooth motion. His arms wrapped around me, solid and immovable, and I buried my face in his shirt, not caring that I was ruining the expensive fabric with tears and mascara. He didn't speak, just held me, one hand stroking my wet hair while the other pressed against my back, keeping me anchored. He smelled like sandalwood and safety, and I hated how desperately I wanted to stay exactly where I was. Eventually, the storm passed. I pulled back, mortified. "I'm sorry. I don't know why—" "Stop apologizing." His thumb caught another tear, his touch achingly gentle. "You're allowed to break, Sarah. You're allowed to be angry and hurt and sad. I barely know you. Sometimes strangers are easier." He released me, but slowly, reluctantly. "Come. I have something for you." He led me deeper into the penthouse, past rooms I only glimpsed. A kitchen of gleaming steel, a library lined with books in languages I couldn't read. We stopped at a bedroom dominated by a massive bed draped in white silk. My heart stuttered. Kozlov seemed to sense my panic. That's not why I brought you here." He opened a closet, revealing rows of women's clothing still bearing tags. Designer labels I recognized from magazine spreads. "Choose something. You can't celebrate in wet clothes." I stared at the options, overwhelmed. "Why do you have all this?" "I buy things." A non-answer. Evasive. "For occasions." "What occasions require a closet full of women's clothes?" His expression shuddered. "Choose, Sarah, or I'll choose for you." There was command in his voice now, the kind that made me understand that whatever patience he'd shown was finite. I pulled out a dress at random, black silk that felt like water, and held it up. "Perfect." He gestured to an ensuite bathroom. "Take your time. There are towels, whatever you need." The bathroom was larger than my entire apartment, all marble and gold fixtures. I locked the door and leaned against it, trying to catch my breath. What was I doing? I'd gotten into a car with a stranger, come to his penthouse, accepted his clothes. Every horror movie started this way. But when I looked in the mirror, really looked, I saw someone I barely recognized, wild-eyed, alive. For the first time in years, I felt something other than numb. I showered quickly, washing away the rain and tears and remnants of my old life. The dress fit perfectly, clinging to curves I usually hid beneath baggy sweaters. I found makeup in the drawers, all high-end, unopened, and repaired the damage from crying. When I emerged, Kozlov was waiting in the bedroom, his back to me as he stared out the window. He'd removed his tie, and his shirt was unbuttoned at the collar, revealing the strong column of his throat. He turned when he heard me, and something fierce flashed in his eyes. Hunger. Want. Gone so quickly I almost thought I'd imagined it. Beautiful. The single word hung between us, weighted with meaning I didn't fully understand. "The dress is—" "I meant you." He crossed to me in 3 long strides, and suddenly we were too close, the air too thin. "Sarah, I need to tell you something." My pulse hammered. "What?" His phone buzzed. Not the one from earlier, but another, sleeker. His expression darkened as he read the screen. "There's been a change of plans." "What kind of change?" He looked at me, and for the first time I saw hesitation in his features. Calculation. "How do you feel about traveling? Traveling where?" "The Maldives." He said it casually, like he was suggesting a coffee shop down the street. "Tonight." I laughed. Actually laughed. "That's insane. I can't just— I have work tomorrow. And I don't have a passport here, and— Your passport is at your apartment?" When I nodded, stunned, he pulled out his phone. "Address?" "Why?" "Because in 2 hours we're leaving for the airport." He was already typing. "My team will collect what you need." "Your team?" The words came out strangled. "I can't afford— I'm not asking you to pay." He pocketed the phone and gripped my shoulders, forcing me to meet his eyes. "Let me give you this. 1 week. 7 days where you don't have to think about insurance claims or men who don't deserve you or anything except sun and ocean and being taken care of." It was madness. Complete insanity. "Why?" I whispered. "Why me? Why this?" His hands tightened on my shoulders. "Because when I saw you in that gallery, soaked and breaking and still looking for beauty, something in me recognized something in you." His voice dropped, rough and raw. "Because I want to. Because I can. Because you deserve more than what you've been given." "I don't understand." "You don't have to." He released me, stepped back. "Just say yes, Sarah." Every logical part of my brain screamed no. But logic had given me Marcus, and loneliness, and a studio apartment with water stains. Logic had made me small and invisible and forgotten. Yes. The word escaped before I could stop it. Yes, I'll go. His smile was sharp and triumphant. Dangerous. And I realized far too late that I'd just agreed to something I didn't fully understand. Something that would change everything. Kozlov pulled out his phone again, speaking rapid-fire Russian. Within minutes, the penthouse filled with people, security, assistants, someone who measured me with practiced efficiency for appropriate resort wear. The operation unfolded with military precision, everyone moving around Kozlov like planets orbiting the sun. I stood in the center of the controlled chaos, wearing a stranger's dress, about to fly to the Maldives with a man whose last name I barely knew. And for the first time in years, I felt absolutely, terrifyingly alive. The private jet gleamed under airport lights like a predator ready to strike. I'd never seen anything like it. Sleek white exterior, stairs that folded down with hydraulic precision, and windows that glowed with warm, golden light from within. "This is yours?" I asked stupidly, because of course it was his. Everything around Kozlov belonged to him. The car, the penthouse, the small army of people who moved at his slightest gesture. One of them. He placed his hand on my lower back again, that now familiar touch that made me feel claimed, possessed. "Come." The interior was obscene luxury. Cream leather seats wide enough to sleep in, polished wood tables, and a bar that would rival any upscale lounge. A woman in a crisp uniform greeted us with professional warmth. "Mr. Kozlov, Miss Sarah, welcome aboard. We'll be departing shortly. Can I get you anything before takeoff?" Kozlov looked at me, waiting. I shook my head, overwhelmed, and he dismissed her with a slight nod. We settled into seats that faced each other, and I watched through the window as the security team conducted a final perimeter check. One spoke into his wrist, another scanned beneath the aircraft with a mirror on a pole. "Is all that necessary?" I asked. Kozlov followed my gaze, expression unreadable. Precautions. "In my line of work, one can't be too careful." "What exactly is your line of work?" "I told you. Import, export, investments." He leaned back, studying me with those dark, penetrating eyes. "Does it matter?" "It should. Any sane person would demand details, would question why a man needed this level of security, why people looked at him with fear disguised as respect. But I was sitting in a private jet about to fly to the Maldives with a stranger, so clearly sanity had left the building hours ago. "I suppose not," I murmured. The engines hummed to life, a deep vibration I felt in my bones. Within minutes we were taxiing, and then the ground fell away, the city shrinking to a glittering grid below us. I pressed my face to the window like a child, watching everything I knew disappear into darkness and clouds. "You've never flown private before?" Not a question. Kozlov's voice held something that might have been amusement. "I've barely flown at all. Once, to Florida for my cousin's wedding. Coach, middle seat." I turned to find him watching me with unsettling intensity. It's unreal. Get used to it." He rose, moved to the bar with fluid grace. "For the next week, this is your reality." He poured 2 glasses of champagne, brought one to me. I took it, our fingers brushing, and that electric current sparked again, stronger now. "Impossible to ignore, to new realities," he said, touching his glass to mine. We drank, and the bubbles fizzed on my tongue, expensive and perfect. The flight attendant appeared with food, delicate appetizers that looked too beautiful to eat, arranged on fine china. I nibbled, not tasting anything, too aware of Kozlov's gaze tracking my every movement. "Tell me about yourself," he said suddenly. "Everything. I want to know you, Sarah. There's not much to tell. I'm boring." "I doubt that." He settled deeper into his seat, all coiled patience. "Start with your family." So I did. I told him about my mother, who'd raised me alone after my father left when I was 5, about working 2 jobs to put myself through community college, about the string of dead-end relationships with men who took more than they gave, about Marcus, who'd seemed different at first, ambitious, driven, until I realized his ambition didn't include me. Kozlov listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker as I spoke. When I finished, he was silent for a long moment. "He contacted you 3 times while we've been in the air," he said quietly. I blinked. "How do you—" He pulled out my phone. When had he taken it? And showed me the screen. 15 texts from Marcus, all variations of the same theme. "We need to talk. I made a mistake. Please call me." "Too late," Kozlov murmured, deleting each message with deliberate satisfaction. "Far too late. You can't just— That's my phone. And he's your past." He powered it off again, pocketed it. "For this week, Sarah, you belong to me. No distractions, no reminders of people who hurt you, just us." The possessiveness in his voice should have terrified me. Instead, heat pooled low in my stomach. "I don't belong to anyone." His smile was sharp, predatory. "We'll see." Hours blurred together. We talked. Or rather, I talked while Kozlov absorbed every detail like he was memorizing me. He revealed almost nothing about himself, deflecting my questions with skill that suggested long practice. I learned he was 32, originally from Moscow, and had built his empire from nothing. Everything else remained shadow and mystery. Somewhere over the Atlantic, exhaustion caught up with me. My eyelids grew heavy, and I fought to keep them open. "Sleep," Kozlov commanded softly. "We have a long flight ahead." "I'm fine." He moved to sit beside me, and before I could protest, he pulled me against his chest, his arm wrapped around my shoulders, strong and warm and unexpectedly gentle. "Sleep, Sarah. I've got you." I should have resisted, should have maintained boundaries with this dangerous stranger, but his heartbeat was steady beneath my ear, and his scent surrounded me like a drug, and I was so tired of being strong. I slept. I woke to sunlight streaming through the windows and the subtle change in engine pitch that meant descent. Kozlov was exactly where he'd been when I'd fallen asleep, his arm still around me, his other hand holding a tablet he was reading in what looked like Russian. How long was I out? My voice came rough with sleep. 6 hours. He set down the tablet, his attention focusing on me with laser intensity. "You talk in your sleep." Mortification heated my cheeks. What did I say? Nothing coherent. "But you were afraid." His fingers traced patterns on my shoulder, soothing. "Bad dreams?" "Always." I tried to sit up, but his arm tightened, keeping me close. "What are you doing?" "Enjoying this moment before reality intrudes." His voice held an edge I couldn't identify. "We land in 30 minutes, and then you'll see what I've arranged." The Maldives appeared below us like something from a dream, impossibly blue water, white sand islands scattered like pearls on silk. We landed on a private airstrip, and the door opened to hit me with humid, salt-scented air and sunshine so bright it hurt. A man in white linen waited on the tarmac, flanked by staff holding trays of cold towels and tropical drinks. "Mr. Kozlov, welcome. Everything is prepared as you requested." Kozlov nodded, his hand once again finding my back as he guided me down the stairs. The heat was stunning after the air-conditioned plane, wrapping around me like a blanket. I accepted a cold towel gratefully, pressing it to my face. "This way, please." The man, the resort manager I assumed, gestured toward a speedboat waiting at a nearby dock. "The villa is ready." Villa. Singular. My stomach flipped. The speedboat cut through water so clear, I could see fish darting beneath the surface. Islands passed in a blur of green and white, each more beautiful than the last. Finally, we approached one that stood alone, connected to the main resort by a long wooden walkway that stretched across the lagoon. The water villa rose from the ocean like a work of art, dark wood and glass, surrounded by a deck that seemed to float on the turquoise water. A private infinity pool glimmered at one end, and I could see a hammock strung between 2 palms on a small beach. $28,000 for the week, Kozlov murmured in my ear as we approached. "Your birthday present, Sarah." I couldn't breathe, couldn't process the number he'd just said so casually. That's insane. That's more than I make in half a year." "I know." He helped me from the boat onto the deck, his hands steadying me. "I had my people research you thoroughly." The casual admission that he'd investigated me should have been alarming. That's creepy. That's careful. He dismissed the staff with a gesture, and suddenly we were alone. standing on a deck surrounded by water that stretched to the horizon. I don't take risks with what's mine. I'm not yours. Not yet. The certainty in his voice made my pulse stutter. But you will be. He unlocked the villa with a keycard, and I stepped into luxury that redefined the word. The space was open concept, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering 360-degree views of the ocean. The bed, massive and draped in white mosquito netting, sat on a platform that overlooked the water. A bathroom with a soaking tub and rain shower occupied one corner, separated by glass walls that could apparently frost at the touch of a button. There's a glass floor panel over there. Kozlov pointed to a section near the bed. You can watch the fish swim beneath the villa. I walked over, looked down through the glass at the living reef below. Colorful fish darted between coral, and I spotted a small shark gliding past with lazy grace. This is too much. It's barely enough. He came up behind me, not touching but close enough that I felt his body heat. You deserve to be worshipped, Sarah. Treasured. Instead, you've been treated like an afterthought. I turned to face him, and the intensity in his eyes stole my breath. Why are you doing this? Please, I need to understand. He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. His touch lingered, fingers trailing down my neck, because when I decide I want something, I take it, and I want you. You don't even know me. I know enough. His hand settled on my waist, pulling me closer. I know you're strong enough to survive being broken. I know you're brave enough to get in a car with a stranger. I know you respond to me in ways you can't control. His thumb pressed against my racing pulse, proving his point. This is crazy, I whispered. Yes. He smiled, and it was beautiful and terrifying. It is. His phone buzzed. The third one, I realized. The one he kept in his inside jacket pocket. His expression darkened as he read the screen. I need to make a call. Unpack. Explore. The villa is yours. He stepped onto the deck, speaking in rapid Russian that sounded angry. I watched through the glass as he paced, his free hand gesturing sharply. Whatever the call was about, it wasn't good. I found my suitcase. When had that arrived? And opened it to discover clothes I'd never seen before. Designer swimsuits, flowing dresses, everything in my exact size. At the bottom, a note in bold handwriting. For new beginnings. Didi Dmitri? I realized I didn't even know his full name. I changed into a bikini that probably cost more than my monthly rent, wrapped myself in a silk cover-up, and stepped onto the deck. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink that seemed impossible. Kozlov had finished his call and stood at the railing, staring at the horizon. His shoulders were tense, and I could see the muscle jumping in his jaw. Bad news? I ventured. Business complications. He didn't turn around. Nothing you need to worry about. I moved to stand beside him, mimicking his posture. The water lapped gently against the villa's supports, a soothing rhythm. Will you have to leave? No. The word came out harsh, definitive. Nothing will take me away from this week with you. It's just a week, I said softly. Then we go back to reality. He turned to me then, and something in his expression made my heart stutter. Possession. Obsession. Is that what you think? That I would go to all this trouble for just a week? What else could it be? He caught my face in his hands, tilting it up to his. You really don't understand, do you? What you are to me, I'm nobody. A random girl you met in a gallery. Stop. The command cracked like a whip. Stop making yourself small. Stop diminishing what this is. Then tell me what it is. The words burst out, frustrated and confused. Because I don't understand any of this. Why me? Why now? What do you want from me? His grip tightened, just barely, and his eyes blazed with something fierce and hungry. Everything, Sarah. I want everything. Then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It was claiming, consuming. A kiss that demanded surrender. His mouth moved over mine with the same intensity he applied to everything else. Absolute and overwhelming. I gasped against his lips, and he took advantage, deepening the kiss until I couldn't think, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but feel. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathing hard. His forehead rested against mine, and his hands had moved to my waist, holding me like I might disappear. This week isn't a vacation, Sarah, he said quietly, his accent thicker than before. It's a beginning. By the time we leave this place, you'll be mine. Completely. And I'll be damned if I let you go back to that half-life you were living. Fear and desire warred in my chest. That sounds like a threat. It's a promise. He released me, stepped back. Now, are you hungry? I've arranged for dinner on the beach. The abrupt shift gave me whiplash. One moment he was kissing me like he owned me. The next he was playing the perfect host. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Dinner was served on the small beach, a table for two set in the sand, lit by torches that cast dancing shadows. The food was exquisite, each course more beautiful than the last, but I barely tasted any of it. I was too aware of Kozlov watching me, cataloging my every reaction. Tomorrow, he said as we finished dessert, we'll do whatever you want. Snorkeling, diving, spa treatments, nothing. Your choice. What if I want to go home? His expression went cold, dangerous. That's not an option. So I'm a prisoner. You're protected. He reached across the table, caught my hand. There's a difference. Is there? But I didn't pull away. Couldn't. His thumb traced circles on my palm, and electricity sparked up my arm. Yes, his gaze held mine, intense and unwavering. A prisoner wants to escape. Tell me, Sarah, do you want to escape? The honest answer terrified me, because despite everything, the strangeness, the intensity, the barely concealed danger that clung to him like cologne, I didn't. For the first time in my life, I felt seen, wanted, chosen. No, I whispered. His smile was triumphant, possessive. Good girl. We walked back to the villa under stars so bright they seemed close enough to touch. Kozlov's hand never left the small of my back, a constant pressure that reminded me I was his, at least for now. Inside, he pulled me close one more time, his lips brushing my forehead. Sleep well, Sarah. Tomorrow, everything changes. He left me at the bedroom door, disappearing into what I assumed was a second bedroom. I stood alone in the massive space, listening to the ocean beneath the glass floor, and wondered what I'd gotten myself into, and why part of me never wanted to escape. I woke to the sound of waves and sunlight streaming through sheer curtains that billowed in the ocean breeze. For a disoriented moment, I didn't remember where I was. Then it all came rushing back. The gallery, Kozlov, the insane decision to fly halfway around the world with a stranger. I sat up, and my breath caught. Through the glass floor beside the bed, I could see the underwater world coming alive. Schools of fish in impossible colors, sea turtles gliding past, the coral reef pulsing with life. A knock on the door made me jump. Come in, I called, pulling the sheet higher. Kozlov entered carrying a tray laden with fresh fruit, pastries, and coffee that smelled like heaven. He was already dressed in linen pants and a white shirt rolled to his elbows, looking effortlessly elegant, while I probably resembled something the tide washed in. Good morning. He set the tray on the bed, his eyes traveling over me with an appreciation that made heat bloom in my cheeks. You slept well? Better than I have in months. The admission slipped out before I could stop it. Good. He poured coffee into a delicate cup, added cream without asking. How did he know? And handed it to me. Eat, then we're going out on the water. We are? Unless you'd prefer to stay here. His fingers brushed mine as I took the cup, deliberate and lingering. Though I think you'll enjoy what I've planned. After breakfast, the best I'd ever tasted, I showered and dressed in one of the swimsuits from my mysteriously packed suitcase. A flowing white cover-up completed the outfit, and when I emerged, Kozlov's eyes darkened with unmistakable want. Beautiful, he murmured, then held out his hand. Come. A yacht waited at the dock, smaller than I'd expected, but no less luxurious. Kozlov helped me aboard, his hands spanning my waist, lifting me like I weighed nothing. The captain and crew greeted us with professional deference, but I noticed how they kept their distance from Kozlov, fear masked as respect. We set out across water so blue it hurt to look at, Kozlov stood at the railing beside me, his presence a constant warm pressure against my side. One of his security team, I'd learned his name was Victor, scanned the horizon with vigilant eyes, while another remained below deck. "Do they ever relax?" I asked, nodding toward Victor. "No." Kozlov's voice was matter of fact. "Their job is to keep me alive. Relaxation gets people killed." The casual reference to death sent ice down my spine. "Has anyone tried to kill you?" "Several times." He said it like he was discussing the weather. "Occupational hazard. What exactly do you occupy?" His smile was sharp. "Dangerous questions, Sarah. I'm in the middle of the ocean with you. I think I deserve answers." He turned to face me fully, and something shifted in his expression. Calculation? Decision. "My family has been in certain businesses for generations. Import, export, as I said. But not everything we trade is legal." My stomach dropped. "You're a criminal." "I'm a businessman who operates outside conventional boundaries." His hand cupped my cheek, thumb stroking my skin. "Does that frighten you?" "It should. It absolutely should." "I don't know. Honest." He leaned closer, his breath warm against my lips. "I like that about you. No pretense. No games. Unlike you. Unlike me," he agreed. Then he kissed me, slow and deep and devastating. When he pulled back, I was breathless. "But with you, Sarah, I want to be honest. I want you to see me." "Why?" "Because you already do." His forehead rested against mine. "Everyone else sees what I let them see. Power, danger, money. You see the man underneath." Before I could respond, the yacht slowed. We'd reached a sandbar in the middle of nowhere, the water so clear I could see every grain of sand beneath the surface. "We're here," Kozlov announced. "Come snorkeling with me." The next hour was magical. We swam through coral gardens teeming with life. Kozlov, never more than a few feet away, his hand occasionally catching mine to guide me toward something beautiful. Despite everything, the danger, the mystery, the insanity of the situation, I felt safe with him. When we climbed back aboard, exhausted and sun-drunk, lunch was waiting. We ate on the deck, and Kozlov told me stories of his childhood in Moscow. Sanitized versions, I suspected, but glimpses of the boy he'd been before he became whatever he was now. "My mother died when I was 12, he said quietly, staring at the horizon. "After that, my father made sure I understood the family business. Every brutal detail." "I'm sorry." "Don't be." His jaw tightened. "It made me strong. Made me who I am. Lonely," I said softly. His gaze snapped to mine, surprised. "What?" "You're lonely. All that power, all those people around you, and you're completely alone." For a long moment, he just stared at me. Then something cracked in his carefully controlled expression. "Yes," he admitted, "until you." The weight of those words settled over us. He reached across the table, caught my hand, threaded our fingers together. "Stay with me, Sarah. Not just this week. Always." "You're insane." But my voice shook. "Probably." His grip tightened. "But I mean it. I can give you everything. Protection, luxury, a life you've only dreamed of. In exchange for what? Your trust, your loyalty." His eyes burned into mine. "You." I should have said no. Should have laughed at the absurdity, but the intensity in his gaze made it clear this wasn't a joke or a whim. This was a man who decided he wanted something and would move heaven and earth to get it. "I need time," I whispered. "You have this week." He raised my hand to his lips, kissed my knuckles. "Use it to decide if you can handle my world." The yacht returned us to the villa as the sun began its descent. I was pleasantly exhausted, my skin warm from the sun, my mind spinning from Kozlov's proposition. Inside, I showered and changed into a simple dress, emerging to find him on the deck, phone pressed to his ear. His expression was murderous. "I don't care what he says," Kozlov snarled in Russian, though I caught enough to understand. "Find him. Bring him to me. I want to handle this personally." He ended the call, noticed me standing there. The the rage in his features smoothed into careful neutrality. Sarah. Who was that? Business. He pocketed the phone. Nothing you need to worry about. Stop saying that. Frustration bubbled up. If you want me to trust you, to consider your insane proposal, you need to stop treating me like I'm fragile. His eyebrows rose. You want the truth? Yes. Fine. He moved toward me, predatory and intense. One of my associates has been stealing from me, skimming profits, thinking I wouldn't notice. He's also been asking questions about where I am, who I'm with. Ice trickled down my spine. Why would he care about me? Because you're my weakness now. His hand cupped my face, gentle despite the violence in his eyes. And in my world, weaknesses get exploited, so I'm in danger. You're protected. His other hand settled on my waist, pulling me close. Victor and his team aren't just here for me. They're here for you. Nothing will touch you, Sarah. I swear it. How can you promise that? Because anyone who tries to hurt you will die screaming. He said it so calmly, so matter-of-factly, that it took a moment to process. You're mine now, and I protect what's mine. The possessiveness should have terrified me. Instead, something dark and primal in me responded to it, to being claimed so absolutely by someone who had the power to back up his words. This is insane, I breathed. Yes. He kissed me, hard and claiming. But you're not running. He was right. I should be running, screaming, demanding he take me home. Instead, I was kissing him back, my fingers tangling in his hair, my body pressing against his like I couldn't get close enough. He lifted me effortlessly, my legs wrapping around his waist as he carried me inside. We made it as far as the couch before he set me down, his body covering mine, his weight a delicious pressure. Tell me to stop, he murmured against my throat, his lips trailing fire across my skin. Tell me this is too fast, and I will. But I didn't want him to stop. For once in my life, I wanted to be reckless, wanted to take what was offered without overthinking the consequences. Don't stop, I whispered. His groan vibrated through me. Sarah, if we do this, there's no going back. You understand? You'll be mine. Maybe I want to be. Something fierce and triumphant flashed in his eyes. Then his mouth claimed mine, and the world narrowed to the feel of his hands on my skin, the taste of him. The overwhelming rightness of surrendering to this beautiful, dangerous man who'd crashed into my life like a storm. Later, much later, we lay tangled together on the bed, the mosquito netting drifting around us like a cocoon. Kozlov's fingers traced lazy patterns on my bare shoulder, and I listened to his heartbeat beneath my ear. What happens after this week? I asked quietly. You come home with me, to my real home, not just the penthouse. His arms tightened around me. You leave your apartment, your job. Everything that made you small, you become part of my world. As what? Your mistress? As mine. He tilted my face up, his expression serious. I don't share, Sarah. If you agree to this, you're choosing me. Only me. Forever. That's a lot of pressure. I know. His thumb brushed across my lips, but I've never wanted anything the way I want you. And I always get what I want. Arrogant. Honest. He kissed me softly. Think about it. You have 4 more days to decide. But as I drifted to sleep in his arms, the ocean singing beneath us, I realized my decision was already made. Somewhere between the gallery and this moment, I'd stopped being the invisible girl who accepted scraps. I'd become someone who could stand beside a man like Dmitry Kozlov and not disappear. And that was worth any risk. The next 3 days passed in a blur of sun-soaked perfection. We snorkeled through coral gardens, had midnight swims in the bioluminescent plankton that made the water glow like stars, ate elaborate meals prepared by chefs who appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Kozlov, Dmitry, as I'd learned to call him in private moments, was attentive in ways I'd never experienced. He anticipated my needs before I voiced them, touched me constantly like he needed the physical connection to believe I was real. But the fantasy couldn't last forever. On our 4th morning, I woke to find his side of the bed cold. I sat up, immediately sensing something was wrong. The villa felt different, charged with tension that made my skin prickle. I pulled on a robe and found Dmitri on the deck, surrounded by his security team. Victor was speaking rapidly in Russian, his expression grim. Dmitri's jaw was set, his eyes cold in a way I hadn't seen since that first night in the gallery. "What's wrong?" I asked. Every head turned toward me. Dmitri's expression softened fractionally. "Go back inside, Sarah." "No." I moved closer, ignoring Victor's warning glance. "Tell me what's happening." Dmitri studied me for a long moment, then dismissed his team with a gesture. When we were alone, he pulled me against him, his arms tight around my waist. "The man I told you about, the one who's been stealing from me, he knows you're here." Fear spiked through me. "How?" "Someone in my organization talked. They're already dead." He said it so casually, like he was discussing the weather. "But the damage is done. He's made threats." "What kind of threats?" His hands tightened on me, the kind that mean we're leaving, today. "But we still have 3 days. I won't risk you." His voice was steel. "We're going back to the States, to my compound in upstate New York. It's more secure than anywhere else." "A compound?" The word conjured images of armed guards and high walls. "Dmitri, I can't just disappear to some fortress." "You can, and you will." He caught my face in his hands, forcing me to meet his blazing eyes. "Listen to me. These people, they don't play games. They'll use you to get to me, and I will burn the world down before I let that happen. So yes, you're coming with me. We're leaving in 2 hours." The command in his voice brooked no argument. I should have been angry, should have demanded my freedom. Instead, I felt the weight of what he was offering. Protection so absolute it required isolation. What about my life? My apartment, my job, already handled. Your landlord received 6 months' rent. Your employer received your resignation, effective immediately, with a glowing reference. Your mother. He paused. I've arranged for a trust fund in her name. She'll never struggle again. My breath caught. You can't just... I already did. His thumb stroked my cheeks. You're mine now, Sarah. That means I take care of what's yours. Your mother, your debts, everything that weighed you down, it's gone. Tears burned my eyes. You had no right. I had every right. He kissed me, hard and possessive. The moment you said yes to me, everything changed. I told you there was no going back. He was right. Somewhere between the private jet and this moment, I'd crossed a line I could never uncross. I'd become his in ways I was only beginning to understand. The flight back was tense. Dmitri spent most of it on his phones, speaking in rapid Russian to various people. I caught words I recognized. Problem. Eliminate. Protection. Victor sat across from us, weapons I tried not to think about concealed beneath his jacket. Is this what my life will be like? I asked quietly during a lull. Always looking over my shoulder, always afraid? Dmitri set down his phone, turned to me with those intense dark eyes. No. Once I've handled this situation, you'll be safe. I promise you that. How can you promise something like that? Because I'm very good at eliminating threats. The smile he gave me was cold, lethal, and anyone who threatens what's mine becomes a priority target. We landed at a private airfield somewhere in upstate New York as the sun was setting. A convoy of black SUVs waited, engines running. Dmitri helped me into the middle vehicle, sliding in beside me while Victor took the front passenger seat. We drove for an hour through increasingly remote terrain, finally turning onto a private road marked only by a discreet gate that opened at our approach. The compound revealed itself gradually, a massive estate surrounded by high stone walls and manicured grounds. The main house was a modern fortress of glass and steel, beautiful but unmistakably secure. I could see cameras everywhere, discreet but omnipresent. Welcome home, Dmitri murmured as we pulled up to the entrance. Home. The word felt foreign and familiar at once. Inside, staff appeared to take our bags. The interior was stunning, all clean lines and expensive minimalism, with art I recognized from museums, but it was the view that stopped me. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked a private lake, the water reflecting the dying light like molten gold. It's beautiful, I breathed. It's yours. Dmitri came up behind me, his arms wrapping around my waist. Everything I have is yours now, Sarah. You understand that? I turned in his arms, searching his face. What am I to you, really? Your girlfriend? Your kept woman? What? His expression turned serious. You're the woman I'm going to marry. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? You heard me? He pulled a small box from his pocket. When had he gotten that? And opened it to reveal a ring that made my breath stop. A massive diamond surrounded by smaller stones, set in platinum that caught the light like frozen fire. I've known since that first night in the gallery. You're mine, Sarah. Forever. That's insane. We barely know each other. I know everything that matters. He took my hand, slid the ring onto my finger with smooth confidence. I know you're strong enough to handle my world. I know you see me, not just what I can give you. I know I will never want anyone the way I want you. The ring felt heavy, binding, like a beautiful shackle. Dimitri, I can't. This is too fast. Look at me. He gripped my shoulders. I'm not a good man, Sarah. I'll do terrible things again to protect you. But I will never lie to you, never betray you, never make you feel invisible again. Say yes. My mind spun. This was crazy. Marrying a man I'd known less than a week. A criminal who'd just dragged me to his fortress compound. Every rational thought screamed no. But when I looked into his eyes, I saw something that made my chest ache. Not just desire or possession, though those were there, but something raw and desperate. Need, the kind of need that came from a lifetime of being alone, of trusting no one, of building walls so high nothing could touch him. Until me. Yes, I whispered. His kiss was devastating, claiming. He lifted me into his arms, carried me through the house to a bedroom that overlooked the lake. We fell onto the bed together, and he made love to me like a man possessed. Like he needed to mark every inch of my skin as his. After, as we lay tangled together in the darkness, his phone buzzed. He checked it, and satisfaction flickered across his face. It's done, he said quietly. What's done? The threat. Victor's team found him. He set the phone aside, pulled me closer. You're safe now. I didn't ask what that meant, didn't want to know the details. Some part of me understood that being with Dimitri meant accepting that violence was part of his world. That people who threatened him, threatened us, didn't get second chances. What about Marcus? I asked suddenly. He kept texting. Won't be a problem anymore. Dimitri's voice was cold. I had a conversation with him, made it clear that you're under my protection now. He won't contact you again. You didn't kill him? No. Dimitri's lips curved, though I wanted to. No, I simply explained that his new girlfriend, the one he left you for, has a very interesting history with fraud, that the authorities might find fascinating, unless he disappears from your life permanently. Despite everything, I laughed. That's evil. That's justice. He kissed my temple. No one hurts what's mine without consequences. The possessiveness should have bothered me. Instead, after a lifetime of being overlooked, being claimed so absolutely felt like coming home. 3 months later, I stood in front of a mirror in a wedding dress that cost more than my old car. The ceremony would be small, just Dimitri's closest associates and my mother, who'd cried for an hour when I'd called to tell her. She didn't know the full truth about Dimitri's business, didn't need to. She just knew her daughter was marrying a man who looked at her like she hung the moon. You look perfect. Dimitri appeared behind me, stunning in a black tuxedo. His hand settled on my waist, and our eyes met in the mirror. Having second thoughts? Terrified thoughts, I admitted. But not second thoughts. Good. He turned me to face him, his expression serious. I need you to understand something, Sarah. My world is dangerous. There will always be threats, always be risks. But I swear to you, on everything I am, I will keep you safe. You and any children we have. Children. The word made my heart skip. We'd talked about it. About building a family in the midst of his dangerous empire. About giving our children the stability and love neither of us had fully experienced. I trust you, I said simply. His smile was brilliant, rare. The smile he saved only for me. Then let's get married, Mrs. Kozlov. The ceremony was beautiful. We exchanged vows in the garden overlooking the lake, the late autumn sun casting everything in gold. When Dmitri kissed me, sealing our union, I felt the weight of his promise. Protection, possession, love wrapped in danger and devotion. At the reception, I watched him work the room, commanding, powerful, every inch the king of his dark empire. But every few minutes his eyes would find mine, and I'd see the softness there, the vulnerability he showed only to me. Victor approached as I stood alone for a moment. Mrs. Kozlov. He still seemed uncomfortable with the familiarity. I wanted to say, I'm glad you're here. He's different with you. Better. Thank you, Victor. He nodded, started to leave, then paused. He would destroy the world for you. You know that, right? There's nothing he wouldn't do to keep you safe. I know. And I did. It was terrifying and thrilling in equal measure. That night, in our bedroom overlooking the lake, Dmitri held me close. Happy? He asked. I thought about my old life, the cramped apartment, the dead-end job, Marcus's casual cruelty. Then I thought about this new reality. Dangerous and luxurious, isolated and protected, claimed by a man who'd moved heaven and earth to make me his. Yes, I said truthfully. I'm happy. Good. He kissed me slowly. Because you're stuck with me now, forever. I can think of worse fates. His laugh rumbled through his chest. Like processing insurance claims, exactly like that. We made love slowly, tenderly, and afterward I fell asleep listening to his heartbeat. Outside, security patrolled the grounds. Inside, I was wrapped in the arms of the most dangerous man I'd ever met. And I'd never felt safer in my life. 6 months after that, I discovered I was pregnant. Dmitri's reaction was pure joy mixed with fierce protectiveness that somehow increased to impossible levels. He hired additional security, installed more cameras, barely let me out of his sight. You're being ridiculous, I told him as he insisted on accompanying me to a prenatal appointment. I'm being careful. He placed his hand on my still flat stomach, his expression softening. This is our child, Sarah, our family. I will protect you both with everything I have. And he did. Our daughter was born on a snowy December morning, perfect and healthy. When Dmitri held her for the first time, I saw tears in his eyes. She's beautiful, he whispered. Like her mother. She has your eyes, I observed. Poor thing. But he smiled. That rare, brilliant smile reserved for me, and now for her. We named her Elena, after his mother. And as I watched my dangerous, powerful husband cradle our tiny daughter with infinite gentleness, I thought about that rainy birthday when my ex had left me broken in a restaurant. Best thing that ever happened to me, because it had led me here, to this man, this life, this family built on the ashes of who I used to be. I love you, I told Dmitri, as he settled into the chair beside my hospital bed, still holding Elena like she was made of glass. He looked at me, his dark eyes full of everything he usually kept hidden. I love you too. Both of you. My whole world. And in that moment, surrounded by the beeping of monitors and the soft sounds of our daughter, I knew with absolute certainty that I'd made the right choice. That rainy night, getting into a stranger's car, flying to the Maldives, saying yes to forever with a man who terrified and cherished me in equal measure, I'd found where I belonged, not in luxury or security, though those were nice, but in being chosen, being seen, being loved with an intensity that most people never experienced. My ex had left me on my birthday. The Mafia boss had taken me to paradise and given me a life beyond my wildest dreams. Some might call it a fairy tale. Others might call it dangerous. I called it home.